morning, greetings, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 33 years of practicing pharmacy, I've seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, if you just want to say hi, contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. We love hearing from you, 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase longevity products, or even better, if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. All the longevity products are up, and a Join the Team Now link that you can click on is up as well at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, criticalhealthnews.com. You can also call 866-735-2470 for more information. And don't forget to take a look at Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. I formulate all my Truth Treatment products without fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, silicone, oil, water, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want. You shouldn't have to pay for fillers, and you shouldn't have to pay for wax, and you shouldn't have to pay for preservatives. And you shouldn't have to pay for water. And if you want a skin health product or a skin care product, it should be a skin health product. In my humble opinion, as a healthcare professional, if a skin care product is not a skin health product, that is, it's not changing the health of your skin, it's a baloney product. And that's what most of them are. 99.9% of them are. If you're interested in skin health products, that is, products that you could put on a cut or scrape or eczema or psoriasis and improve your skin's health and condition, you want True Skin Health products, truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. And speaking of skin health, I'm going to talk today about, well, actually, before we get into that, I want to tell you a couple of things here. We got a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Kate Battistelli, author of the book The God Dare, is going to talk to us about her experiences with spirituality and health. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll take your phone calls in our next segment, 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. Also want to remind you to take a look at our new Facebook page, our Brightside Facebook page. This is a way that I can just put stuff up that I think is interesting. I don't get to talk about everything I want to talk about on this program. So there's all kinds of stuff that I like to talk about, and hopefully you'll find it interesting as well. And then it will also give you an opportunity to, number one, share your stuff, and then it will also give you an opportunity to see who you are, and you an opportunity to communicate with me, and questions as well. I can take questions to a certain extent. I can take questions. I can't really write out long essays, but I can respond to specific questions. Anyway, it would be a good way for each of us to stay in touch with each other, me and you. Facebook, the Facebook page is, The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. But if you just if you just search in Facebook for The Bright Side, you'll get our Facebook page and sign up, and then we'll be doing Facebook Lives on there as well. All right, so I wanted to talk today about the immune system and the skin, and I think this is the key to everything. The skin is just kind of a poster child for the rest of the body, and we can see the skin, so it makes a good example. But what's true about the skin is going to be true about the rest of the body. When we're sick, for the most part, in a degenerative sense, we are sick at the level of immunity. And this is so important because the immune system, if you understand that idea, that disease, degenerative disease, chronic, progressive, degenerative disease, all the things that make us feel lousy are really sourced at the level of the immune system. They start off at the level of the immune system, which shows up as inflammation. Immunity and inflammation can be thought of as basically the same thing. Inflammation is how immunity shows up. So in any case, all the diseases are inflammatory and immune related. If you understand that, then now you have the secret to healing everything. Everything, reversing everything. That's what I've been talking about on this program for close to a decade, and what I've been talking about in general since it dawned on me almost 30 years ago. Everything, whenever you go to the doctor, and whenever you go to the dermatologist, if you have a condition, not whenever, but chances are good you're going to get an immune suppressant. That tells you that you're dealing with an immune condition. So I'm going to focus on the skin, but this is true about everything in the body. I'm specifically going to focus on a health challenge called psoriasis. I want to talk about that for the next few days here. Psoriasis is a very, very distressing skin condition, and it is one of the most common of all skin conditions. Maybe dry skin and acne could be said to be more prevalent worldwide than psoriasis but it's right up there. And it's so unfortunate because it's a classic immune-mediated disease. We don't see the skin as an immune organ, and that doesn't serve us. And it's not because we don't know it's an immune organ, because like I say, we get immune suppressants when we go to the dermatologist. So clearly there's an immune system that's going on there, but that's just for the layperson to realize it. Scientists know. I got a textbook in my hand here, The Skin in Systemic Autoimmune Diseases. When you have a systemic and inside autoimmune disease, it's going to show up on the skin. So you have psoriasis, and this is the most important thing that I could tell you about psoriasis. And it's true about all skin conditions. Even though we see it on the skin, it is a metabolic problem. Metabolic just means chemistry. It's a chemistry problem. It's a biochemistry problem. It's an internal biochemical phenomena that shows up on the skin. It's not a skin condition. And this is so important for a lot of reasons. Number one, because we're not going to be able to fix it if we try to address it at the level of the skin. And number two, because it's happening inside, it's going to degenerate. And psoriasis is linked to almost all internal metabolic conditions, from autoimmune diseases inside your body to heart disease to cancer, and most importantly to reduced longevity, to shortened longevity. It's a killer in that way. Psoriasis is not just a unpleasant skin condition. It's a killer if it's not corrected. And it has to be corrected internally. And you know, when you have psoriasis, or you have any skin health challenge, or you're just living your life, you maybe don't have time to read books like Advances in Psoriasis, Advances in Psoriasis, a multi-systemic guide. This is a textbook. It's got all kinds of scientific articles written by different folks about psoriasis, things about, we'll just give you a little flavor here. The history of psoriasis, the pathophysiology of psoriasis, clinical review and update on psoriasis, epidemiology, potential triggers, disease course, psoriatic arthritis, topical therapy 1, topical therapy 2, ultraviolet. I mean, this is just a textbook. This is a medical textbook I'm reading from. And in this medical textbook, it tells you all the ins and outs of what psoriasis is, what it looks like, what the molecular nature of it is, and what kind of drugs you can use to treat it. But you don't need any of that stuff. I read it because it's interesting to me. If you're just a regular person, though, and you got psoriasis and you're living your life, you don't need to know any of that. All you need to know is that it's an immune problem. That means it's a defensive problem. And because it's not common sense, it requires a little bit of sophistication about how the body works, or understanding about how the body works. We just don't go there. We get intimidated, or just a lack of imagination. We don't understand that the skin is responding to an attack when you have psoriasis, or when you have any skin condition. The skin is responding to some kind of deficiency. The wrong thing is getting in, or the right thing isn't. It's pretty much that simple, folks. The wrong thing is getting in, and the right stuff isn't. All right, I'm going to have a lot more to say about this very unpleasant and gratuitous and unnecessary skin condition, health condition, called psoriasis in the coming days. We'll get your phone calls next segment. 844-236-6010 is our number. back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got Kate Battistelli coming up at the bottom of the hour talking about her book, The God Dare. Kate is living proof that you can be used by the divine force, by divine intelligence, if you are willing. Kate experienced infertility and miscarriage and abortion and 4 failed adoption attempts. Anyway, she writes about her story with connecting up with what we call the divine force. You can call it God if you like, in the book The God Dare. And that's coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your phone calls to this segment, 844-236-6010. I was talking about psoriasis in our last segment, and I'm going to talk about it for the coming days, because I read an article this morning. This is from Acta Venereologica, and it was published in the journal Dermatology. Efficacy and safety of oral administration of a mixture of probiotics in patients with psoriasis. The gut microbiota composition was altered in the probiotic group to a more favorable profile. These findings suggest that taking probiotics may lead to improved outcomes in psoriasis patients. This is so important for a couple reasons. Number one, we talked about the immune system. Well, the immune system lives in the gut. Once you take care of when I say the gut, the small intestine, once you take care of the small intestine, your immune system automatically gets better. And number two, it's also important because we got to recognize that a lot of the things we do that are just normal things in our day-to-day life, like drinking tap water or eating a lot of sugar or taking prescription drugs, changes our microbiome. Even our thoughts change our microbiome. Even our emotions change our microbiome. Our spirituality changes our microbiome. Our microbiome is incredibly responsive to the world as we perceive it, to the world as we input it, whether it's input in from chemistry or it's input in from biochemistry in the form of thoughts and feelings and our connections to spirituality. All of it affects the microbiome. Because it affects the microbiome, it cannot help but affect everything else. And again, this is just, you don't have to understand the science of it. You just have to use your imagination to see how we're embedded, how all the parts of our body are embedded in our environment, for better or worse. For worse, when we're sick, and we are sick. I was just reading here, here's another juicy one. Epidemic of deaths due to heart failure underway in the United States. We're in the middle of it. Kaiser Permanente research identifies a national trend linked to aging of baby boomers and an upturn in heart disease mortality. We're in the middle of an epidemic of death by heart failure. Again, gratuitous. Trans fats and sugar and stress and fluoride and chlorine in the water and prescription drugs. These do nothing, or not only they do nothing for our health, they destroy it. And that's why we have more doctors and more drugs and more medical help than we've ever had in the history of man. We've got more medical support, more health support than we've ever had before, but we're dropping like flies. And it's one thing to drop like flies, but it's another to suffer before you do it. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to Shirley in Florida. Good morning, Shirley. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on today?
Okay, I have been taking hormones, bioidentical hormones, blah, blah, for years now. Well, my doctor just upped my estrogen from 0.024, which he said wasn't showing much of anything, to 0.5, and told me to double the progesterone. My legs, I've never had a problem in my life. My legs started to ache overnight, and the veins are like visibly blue. Is there
what kind of estrogen are you on?
Vivel.
Listen, if you could see the hairs on the back of my neck now, you'd know exactly what I'm thinking. Okay. It's just horrible. You're being toxified. Estrogen is a horrible drug. It's a hormone, obviously. It's a hormone. Okay, so I'm not saying the chemical is a bad chemical. I'll explain here what I mean in a second. But to be put on one form, Vivel, by the way, is one form of estrogen. It's estradiol. It's the second. It's usually the most common prescription estrogen, but it's just one of a bunch of different estrogens, and that's what you're experiencing overdose on estradiol. Basically, you're out of balance. You're out of whack. So here's what the deal. You're inflamed now, correct?
Yeah, and
you got to be constipated. You got to be constipated.
No, not at all. But the weird thing is, I just...
Well, hang on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You have to have a history of constipation with this thing. You have to. There's no way. Is that not correct?
No, I guess it's because I juice and I eat right and I do all...
I don't know. It sounds like you're accumulating toxic estrogen. Or maybe your body just can't handle it and it's not eliminating it fast enough. I don't know. But it sounds to me like you're clogged up. Are you swollen, like in your belly area or any area?
No, but my ankles, like I said, the veins became visibly blue, and I've never had that. I started, and I got a couple of them.
Those are all signs of lack of movement. Those are all signs of lack of movement of fluid. So you got to be constipated. When you have a lack of movement, lack of the fluids are kind of clogging up, and the veins are and you're getting swollen in the bottom of your body, and the veins are popping out, or you're seeing more veins, that kind of thing. Those are all signs of a sluggish circulatory system. Are you with me?
Yes.
If you have a sluggish circulatory system, everything's going to be sluggish. Do you know what I'm saying by sluggish? You're just sluggish.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. Constipation is part of that system. The reason it's important is because the toxins are cleared out through the bowels. You follow
me? I know
me?
that you had talked about because you had talked about how the estrogen, getting rid of that, and I take milk thistle and I take fiber.
You might be taking it, but you're either the double of the dose is just too much, or here's what I'd be doing: essential fatty acids, high doses, EFAs, high doses, magnesium, 2 grams a day, along with calcium. Get on the osteomag. Just get on the osteomag. Zinc, 50 milligrams a day. What's that? Let me go real quick because I'm going to run out of time here. I'm going to run out of time, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Zinc, 50 milligrams a day. Selenium, 600 micrograms a day. Get on the Mighty 90. Sip on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day long. Stay away from any fried fats, anything that throws off the fatty part of your fatty system. Fried fats, trans fats, processed foods that have fats in them. You got to be really careful with the fatty part of the body, or fatty chemistry. 90? Mighty 90. Get on the Healthy Start Pack. And then also here's some vitamin A, some fatty nutrients. Vitamin A, 20,000 IU a day.
Okay.
Vitamin E, 400 international units a day. If you can get some sun, get out in the sun. Eat fish.
Okay.
You're going to be working, and then get on the ultimate enzymes and the pancreatin. Anything you do for the digestive system, and specifically for the fatty part of the digestive system. And don't forget the probiotics. You definitely need some good probiotics and some fermented foods. And less is more with food. Less is more with food. Calories. Keep your calories down. You got to have your body relaxing, and you got to stop anything that puts a stress on the body has to be avoided. You're inflamed, and the body is basically toxed out. It sounds like to me, and it could very well be that double dose of the estradiol. But that's between you and your doctor. All right, I hope I helped you, Shirley. Thank you so much. God bless. All right, I'm sorry if I left you on hold. That's all the time we have on this segment. We got Kate Battistelli coming up. In our next segment, her book is The God Dare. We'll take a commercial break and come back with more of The Bright Side right after this. Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive page at brightsideben.com. You'll find blog posts, news stories at brightsideben.com and pharmacistben.com and criticalhealthnews.com, plus the longevity products, plus a Join the Team link that you can click on if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team for a one-time $30 fee. You can be in business for yourself and help pay it forward. If nutritional supplementation has helped you in your life, you can help change the world and make some money at the same time. And I'm not talking hyperbolically when I talk about changing the world. One nutritional supplemented patient at a time. Just one person at a time, we can change the world. The medical model has clearly failed us. Nutritional supplementation is a powerful tool that we have at our disposal that will liberate us from the medical model, liberate us from our prescription drugs, and really make a difference. If you're interested in learning more about the longevity business opportunity, call 866-735-2470 or click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth skin health products at truthtreatments.com. Truthtreatments.com. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, water, silicone oil. Nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products. Truthtreatments.com. Truthtreatments.com. All right, I'm excited to have our next guest on. Kate Battistelli is a friend of mine. I've known her for several years now. She was involved with the Beyond Organic company, as I recall. At least her husband was. And Kate is also an author and a speaker, and as I found out today, an actress. She's a former actress. She appeared in the Grammy in the New York Broadway musical The King and I. And she's also the mother of a Grammy Award-winning contemporary Christian recording artist, Francesca Battistelli, and the wife of my friend Mike Battistelli. Please welcome to the bright side, Kate Battistelli. What's up, Kate?
Hey, Ben. How are you?
Good to talk to you. I forgot to say authoress of The God Dare, which is a very interesting...
Absolutely, yep. It's my second book. Just came out in June.
Okay, well, that's what I want to talk about. Well, what was your first book? I didn't realize that you had a first book.
I did. Back in 2012, I wrote a book called Growing Great Kids, which really was God daring me to write a book because I wasn't a writer. It kind of made no sense, but, you know, when God calls you to do something, you step out and obey and find that He equips you, you know, as you step out. But sometimes we just need the courage to do that crazy thing that we think, there's no way I'm not able to do that. But with God, we can do anything.
You know, whenever I hear people say stuff like that, you hear, you know, sometimes you'll hear people say, you know, I didn't feel like I could do it, and I did it. And I always think about the story of Moses and Aaron in the Bible, where God says to Moses, "You're going to take the children of Israel out of Egypt," and Moses goes, "No, I can't. I have a lisp. You got to send Aaron, right?" And then what does God say? He says, "I'll be your voice." And we got to kind of have that attitude, is that there's some kind of higher power, divine something that is really taking care of business. And it's kind of like you see it everywhere, like in the cells of the body and in the way the planets move and the way everything seems to be organized in a certain way. There's like an intelligence that runs through everything, and we just got to learn to trust that intelligence somehow.
Exactly, and there's a grand design, you know, and I think God's wisdom, that what He's put in plants, what He's, you know, what we've been able to get in our supplements and things that are not pharmaceutical drugs, it's made such a difference in my life, my husband's life, my family. We've been nutrition people for years before it was popular, you know, before it was a thing. We realized there's got to be something else here. I know God has a better way to do all this and to keep us healthy than taking a bunch of drugs from the doctor.
And you know what's funny is when somebody from the outside looks at you, Kate, or looks at Mike, you can see that there's a health, that you glow, that you radiate. You have this inner light going on, and it comes from, you know, nutrition, but also spiritual nutrition and mental nutrition and emotional nutrition, right?
And I think you have to be intentional. I mean, back in the early 90s, we started learning about water purification, just something as simple as that, as drinking clean water and learning about nutrition and foods and what are the right supplements for you know, what's right for my body, because what's right for me is different for somebody else that's listening. But you begin to learn that and make intentional choices. We try to eat organic. We eat clean. You know, we don't eat junk food. We don't eat a lot of sugar, grains, and stuff like that. Plus we're older. You know, Mike and I are both in our 60s at this point, and I want to live a long, healthy life. I don't want to be infirm by the time I'm 70. I want to be able to walk and exercise. We go to the gym every day. I mean, you have to make the choice to sometimes do the harder thing, you know, to eat well, to exercise, to remember to take your vitamins and things like that. It really does make a huge difference.
Do you and Mike work out literally together? Like
We do. We do. In the community we live in, they have in the residence center a really nice gym. It's quite decent with, you know, all the machines and all the treadmills and all that stuff. So we go every morning around 8 o'clock. We work out for 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on the day. And we're getting muscles back. You know, it's exciting to see, to realize that it doesn't matter what age you are. As soon as you start, your body's going to start changing. And it's going to feel good, and you're going to have a lot more energy and sleep better.
That's so cool. No matter what age you are, you can start, and no matter how sick you are, you can start.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just, even if you're morbidly obese, you can just do a couple of steps. But you can always start somewhere, and that's a great concept. I love that. Start where you're at. Just start.
Exactly.
That's the key, is just start. So what's the deal here? Let's talk a little bit about the God. Oh, actually, you have a special, first of all. You give out that website. You had a link or something you were going to send?
We do have a link. If anybody's interested after they hear a little bit about the book, you just text God Dare, all one word with no spaces, to 44144, and you get the introduction, the foreword by our daughter, Francesca, and the first 3 chapters. So it gives you a chance to just sort of try before you buy, see if you like the concept of the book and want to go further.
Okay, so what exactly is the God Dare?
The God Dare, I call it a God Dare. It's like that crazy idea that God drops in your spirit and you think, no, God, there's no way. That is way out of my comfort zone. Just like for me writing my first book when I wasn't a writer, I don't have a college degree. Like none of it made sense. But I think God will dare us to come out of our comfort zone to we can only do what's possible. I could do what was possible, but God, his comfort zone is the impossible. So when he calls you, he knows you're not equipped, but if he calls you to do it, if he calls you to it, he'll equip you to do it. And I've just seen that so many times in my own life. When I stepped out and wrote my first book back in 2012, but I was able to get it published. Everything fell into place when I obeyed and did the scary thing, and then it took a few more years to get the second book out, but God's timing is perfect, and it came out in 2019 in June, and it's already in its second printing. So it's doing well, and that's exciting because I think people are getting the message of, hey, that idea that I have, that to maybe start a business, or it could be a million different things that God's calling you to do that are scary, that will take you out of your comfort zone. But when you step out with God, he just does miraculous things, and I've just seen it so many times in my own life, in other people's lives. I see it all through the Bible. So the book has a lot of my personal story, memoir, but then also attached to 14 different biblical heroes, Moses being one of them, because I love that story, how Moses was just kept telling God, no, no, no. God finally says, you're going to do this. I'll let your brother come along with you, but this is what I've called you for, even though he was 80 years old, which I just love, the fact that you're never too old or too young to step out and do that crazy thing that God's calling you to do.
To take a cosmic bungee jump. Hey, Kate, we got to take a commercial break. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we're back on the bright side talking to Kate Battistelli about her book, The God Dare, and correct me if I'm wrong here, text 44144 and get the first 3 chapters of the book, right, Kate?
Well, you have to text the word God Dare, just all one word, no spaces, GODDARE. Text that word to 44144, and you'll get it right away in your inbox. Okay,
so you call it, in the book, you call the God Dare a perspective change, or I think you said a perspective switch. I forgot how you said that, but something about perspective, changing your perspective. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, I think we're looking at our life, we're looking at the world a certain way, and God just drops this thing in that totally shifts everything. I call them 90-degree turns. When you're going one way in your life and you're headed in this direction, and then God says, nope, turn left. Go the complete opposite direction from where you were going, because what I have for you is better than you've planned for yourself. We think we know what's best for us, and I'm convinced that we don't. I mean, I've just seen this happen so many times in my life and in friends' lives, and I just see it all over the place that, we think we know until God says there's a better way, and it might not make sense at the time. Like you look at Abraham in the Bible when God said, leave everything behind that you know and go to a land that I'll show you. I'm not going to tell you, but I'll show you. Like you'll know when you get there. And Abraham said, okay, and went ahead and did it, which, just in the natural, it just kind of makes no sense. But something caught his attention, and he said, all right, I'll leave everything behind and trust you. And it completely changed the world. And that's what I believe happens, because I really think each of us are on this planet to change the world. I don't think any of us are here randomly or by mistake, or that God's forgotten about us or any of that. We sometimes come to believe that, but I don't think it's true. I mean, I really believe there's a plan for each of us to change the world, to change the environment, to change everything around us and make an impact.
Now, you were involved with Beyond Organic, correct?
We were, yes, with Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe. Yep, we were with them, and the company was acquired by Longevity about 5 years ago, and it's been just a great partnership, great relationship to be with Longevity.
And how is your experience with Jordan, who I know is very religious and very spiritual? How did that play out in your book at all, or in your belief system at all?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're very aligned spiritually. He wrote a very nice endorsement for my book, which was really kind of him. He and Josh Axe both, because they had a chance to read it, and it aligned with what they believe in. So that was great. But yeah, I mean, Jordan, he's just an amazing man. He's written, I think 20 books, very, very bright, really understands the body. He understands biblical foods, the things that the Bible talks about, what's right to eat, what's not going to be as good for our body. And you have to just judge that for yourself, each person, but he eats a biblical diet. And it's just interesting that he was trying to grow those foods and make those available, the foods that healed him, because he was quite ill 25 years ago at death's door, and he started eating a biblical diet, and it changed everything in his life. So his philosophy, all of that has really impacted us quite a bit over the years.
What are the specifics of a biblical diet?
Well, eating, cultured dairy the way they did back in biblical times, not eating pork, not eating shellfish, just all the healthy things that they ate back then. But again, back then, grain was quite a bit different than it is today, not highly processed and, stripped of everything that's good in the grain today. Bread was quite different back then. So all those things that he really has researched. He wrote a book called The Maker's Diet, which talks all about this. So if anybody's interested, that's a great book to get, just because he really lays it out, what he did specifically to bring complete healing to his body when the doctors told him to go home and die, because he had such extreme gut issues and Crohn's disease and all of that. So it really made a difference for him.
It's funny it's interesting you said that about the fermented foods, because aside from fermented foods, there's really nothing you can eat today that existed in biblical times. And even fermented food,
exactly.
the base of the fermented food didn't, but fermented foods is as close as you could get to a biblical type food, because of the bacteria are the only thing that are the same, basically. Or at least close. They're probably changed a little bit too, but they're close to the same, and their secretions. And fermented food is really, that is the key to eating healthy, is fermented foods, particularly fermented vegetables. We talk about that on the program all the time. I loved how you talked about, in your book, you call it a cosmic bungee jump. And I always think about, did you see that movie Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
You ever see? Remember how he walks into that? Like he looks. The guy tells him to take a step across a chasm, like this deep canyon, and he doesn't want to step, and then he steps in. What is it? It's like a treasure chest or a treasure room, and that's kind of how it looks. That's kind of how the cosmic bungee jump is like, isn't it? That's why it's a dare. It's like, I dare you to step.
And that's what it feels like. It's scary to step out. When God tells you to do something, you're just like, God, I am not equipped. To me, it feels like that. Now, in the natural realm, I would never bungee jump, because I don't trust the cord's going to hold. I don't trust the guy that's running the bungee jump, but I can trust God, because he's done it so many times in my life where he said, step out, trust me, that at this point I'm kind of used to it. So I just go, okay, Lord, you've never let me down one time. You're not going to let me down. You're not going to let me crash on the rocks below. But it feels that way. It's scary. And I mean, if it's not scary, I doubt whether it's really God calling you to do something, to step out and do something, because
it has to be scary. You think
he needs us? He doesn't. If we're not a little bit scared and don't need his help, then what do we need him for, really?
You're not past your comfort zone. In other words, if you're still in your comfort zone, isn't that interesting? There's neurochemistry that's involved. There's something called dopamine that's involved there. Excuse me. Right? So everything you're talking about has biochemical correlates. I mean, you're using the term God, and you're using spiritual kind of a spiritual point of view on all this. But you can also do it biochemistry. You can also use biochemistry, and you can also use things that are built into the body in a more secular kind of way to explain what you're talking about. There's this whole idea of neurochemistry that's associated with exploring going to the other side. We feel better. Actually, When you do something that you didn't think you could do, you actually feel better from a neurochemical standpoint, from a biochemical perspective. That's why it's important to push the envelope.
It's exhilarating.
It's exhilarating.
It's exciting to go, wow, I did that.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, writing my first book, getting it published was that was just so outside anything I ever imagined. Like, had you told me 10 years earlier, you're going to have 2 books, by this point in my life and be speaking and podcasting, and I just said you were crazy,
right.
But when you start doing it and you start taking those bungee jumps, more come, and you go a little bit further and a little bit further till you look at your life and it's completely transformed. So that's the neat thing about it for me.
You hear statistics about depression. I've been reading about depression a lot, and to me, depression is like a lack of exhilaration. And Prozac, we need to be exhilarated, not take. We need exhilaration medicine. We need we need to be leveraging the pharmacology, the biopharmacology of exhilaration, the neurochemistry of exhilaration. And Prozac can't do that. And serotonin reuptake medication can't do that. But we can do it. We can do it through our choices.
And I've dealt with that. I mean, I've dealt with some depression, some anxiety over the years, and that's a hard thing, and there are no chemicals. I got hooked on Xanax for a year, and that messed me up. I knew that for me that was not a good drug. For other people it might be, but for me I just had to get off of that. But because the problem with Xanax is it does help. It does make you feel better, but
it doesn't exhilarate you.
It kind of messed up my brain a little bit and caused some side effects that were not good for me. So, I've just found other ways to deal with anxiety with CBD oil, stuff like that, and good nutrition and learning what supplements and what herbs and things like that and essential oils. All those things can make a huge difference with anxiety and depression, but it's learning what's going to be right for your body. But it really can make a huge difference.
They can make a huge difference, but they can't give you exhilaration. There's no drug. There's no drug that will give you exhilaration unless it's like some short-term kind of thing, and then you crash afterwards, like cocaine or caffeine or something like that. For the most, I can't think of a prescription drug that can give you long-lasting, steady exhilaration, the kind like you got after you finished your book, or even, you know what, Kate, you don't have to finish a book. You could just clean your garage. Right?
Exactly.
You could get exhilarated just cooking a meal or doing the little mundane things, and to me that's why I found your book so powerful, is that there's ways that we can tap into our own biochemistry and tap into our own lives, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, to live a more fulfilled, more self-actualized life. So thank you for putting that out there. Give out that text one more time.
Sure. Just text God Dare, all one word, to 44144, and you get the foreword, the introduction, and the first 3 chapters free.
Awesome. Good to talk to you, Kate. We'll talk again soon. Say hi to Mike.
Thanks.
And have a beautiful day. Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Kate Battistelli, author of The God Dare. Text 44144, the words The God Dare. You'll get the first 3 chapters. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye for now.